Very good evening, Inamal.
Very good evening, sir.
Thank you for accepting our invitation, and we are looking forward to listen to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
On lifelong self-learning.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
ভাই আপনাকে আমি চিনি, আমি আঙ্গুর নাহার বিউটি বলছি ইউএসএমএস থেকে, রংপুরে ছিলাম। এনামুল ভাই বলছেন?
জি জি, থ্যাংক ইউ, থ্যাংক ইউ।
হ্যাঁ, থ্যাংক ইউ।
You start, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Very good evening to all. It is with great pleasure to welcome you all here for the 11th day of 16-day International Online Faculty Development Program on Teaching, Learning and Assessing in 2030. I am honored to introduce our today's guest, Mr. Muhammad Inamullah, who will be speaking on cultivating lifelong learning, a framework for empowering education and student in teaching, learning and assessing. Mr. Haq is specialized in skill and entrepreneur development. He is currently working in communication networks supervision and training division at Power Grid Company at Bangladesh Limited in Dhaka. With over 12 years of experience, he has been actively involved in skill development, entrepreneur and enterprise development, trainer development, and communication network domain, aiming to create productive human capital and contribute to nation. Mr. Haq holds the position of certified accreditor at the Asia Pacific Accreditation and Certification Commission, where he evaluates institute based on APACC criteria. Furthermore, he is a certified trainer in entrepreneurship, specializing in the STAR and Improve Your Business PAC, accredited by International Labour Organization. Additionally, he is qualified as an industry assessor for the IT support occupation by BTEP. Mr. Haq, who has served as a member of Secretary of the two international conference secretariat on TVET and skill development in 2017 and 2020 respectively in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Mr. Haq has been serving a technical committee member in 3 subcommittees established by the Ministry of Education, Government of Bangladesh since 2018. He received a networking award in 2020 from the Skillman Network EU for his dedication and global contribution to the skill development area. His vision to make extensive contribution to transforming world into a skill society through various human capacity development initiatives. Sir, with this short introduction, I would like to invite you to the floor.
Very good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Are you seeing the
slide? Yes, sir. Yes, we are able to see your slides.
Yeah. So thank you. Very good evening to you all, dear audience. Respected Mr. Ashokan sir, he is very close friends to me last few years. I worked with him in international area. So thank you. First of all, thank you, Mr. Ashokan sir and SRM Institute for inviting me as a presenter today. So first of all, I will present today about the cultivating lifelong learners. So I will present here a framework for empowering educators and students in teaching, learning and assessing. So basically, I will present today based on my work on lifelong learning module. So let's say all of you are seeing me and seeing the presentations today here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So So I will cover 7 topics today to cover my headline of the presentations. First of all, I will try to define the lifelong learning. I think the audience, the compositions of audience, all the educators, they are all, I think, know about the lifelong learning, but I'll try to define the lifelong learning. Second things, identify the few fundamental future challenges, what actually future challenge we will facing for education's ecosystems. Then number 3, I will try to present here about a framework for learning to learn skills. And then the number 4, my discussion area is empowering students as a lifelong learning. How actually we can empower our students. And number 5, the presentation item for today's presentations, I will try to a self-transformation framework that is basically innovated by myself. That is why it is called enhanced self-transformation framework. Number 6, I will try to present about the understanding enhanced 7 layers of learning sources, because of nowadays for the questions of lifelong learning. So we have to learn first how many we have the learning sources. And lastly, last but not the least, I will present about the enhanced 7S model to develop a learning plan. That is actually model for the students, how students can directly develop a model. So let's start with the learning outcome 1, that is our lifelong learning. I believe all the audience today, all are educators, you know lifelong learning, but I will actually show you very simple way. For the questions of lifelong learning, it is actually self-initiated educations. It may be happen after the formal education or before the formal education. Whatever education, when you self-initiated education, we call lifelong learning. You can say that it's a practice of the continue to learn through the life. So from the birth to grave, all the full the life, when we learn new thing, we can call is lifelong learning. So in addition with this, I would like to present a definition as per the World Bank Group. They say a lifelong learning framework encompasses learning throughout the life cycle, from the birth to grave, in different learning environment. It can be formal or informal. So it's basically the lifelong learning framework as per the World Bank. So this is the actually very simple things, simple definitions about the lifelong learning. So once we define the lifelong learning, so then I would like to share with the example. We have many example in the world, those who have the big lifelong learner. One of them, Abraham Lincoln. I think all of you know the Abraham Lincoln is a great example, we can say, as a lifelong learner. He had only formal education, only 18 months, but he was avid reader, and he even thought himself law by reading books. And he comes from he ultimately becomes a philosopher. So it is not required that to be a performer, to be even a philosopher, you must have an academic education. So through the lifelong learning concept, we have many examples. They got the position in the world. So it is the very good example I would like to send. Now I would like to present a quotation that is from the Alvin Toffler, and he said, "Remember it, all my educators today. Remember it, tomorrow's illiterate will not be the man who cannot read, but he will be the man who has not learned how to learn." You got my point? I think I want to say learning to learn skill. That means tomorrow is the day is coming. If anybody cannot learn himself, he learn alone, he will be illiterate. So this is the actually practical scenario and the present and the future projections. So this is the lines, this is the comments, or this is the quotations from Alvin Toffler. So this is the message for all of the educators nowadays. So now I believe all of you will be already I will be right with my concept that importance of lifelong learning. Anybody, there is no anybody who is will say that there is no need to learn learning. But if we want to cope up with the market, if you want to cope up with the command-driven life, so you have to pursue the lifelong learning. So now I'll present the importance of lifelong learning. First of all, you know, the world of industry, where you work, your graduate, your product. That means when I am educator, my students, my graduates will work for the industry. So industry continuously evolving. It's continuously changing. So, you know, nowadays the technology is coming, many industry is a disruptive things. So that is why the world is, and all world of industry is continuously evolving and changing. Next, industry job expanding at a rapid rate. You know, all the statistics we have, you can search the Google and other sources. So how many percentage job expanding, changing the job requirements. So on research said within next 3 to 5 years, the 80% work will be changed. Nature will be changed because of technology, new technologies coming, new technology innovating. So that is why industry is changing. Then job description has been changed already, and it is already changing day by day. So it is another fact. Now, skill career trajectories are becoming more dynamic and less predictable. You know, even we cannot predict the next things. Nowadays, technology is coming. Yeah? Are you hearing me?
It is my kind request to the participants, please keep your mic mute. You can go ahead.
Okay, I think so. It is even very difficult for educators to predict the upcoming technology. I would like to one thing here that already technology is the market that any fisheries is easy to take the food from the river, from the water with a very with a glass that he can see the all underground fish or underwater fish, and he can cook the fish easily. So that is the technological sense. So technology sense, any technological sense may be impactful for my education institutions. So this is the actually basic scenario and the present status. So for this, lifelong learning is now seen as essential to stay competitive. If your students, if your graduates wants to competitive his or her in the market, he must have to have a pursuing lifelong learning. Otherwise, he will not be competitive, he will be useless. So this, if you want to get prepared, you have to have pursuing the lifelong learning. So now my next discussion area for today's identify the future, a fundamental future challenge. What challenge is coming in upcoming days? This is the for my opinion, I think the fundamental future challenge for the educators in upcoming days is we have to prepare our students. Again, we have to prepare our students for using technologies that are not yet invented. That means today's technology will be totally obsolete for tomorrow. So that is why we are equipping our students with the today's technology. So how he will actually cope up with the next technology, because of he maybe work with the market, with the in the industry where the new technology come after 2-3 years, and we cannot see, we are not practicing even the upcoming technologies. That is why I think this is the fundamental future challenge for all educators nowadays, that we have to prepare our students for using technology that are not invented in future. So I think this is the all understand the future challenge. So how actually we can prepare for this uncertainty and rapid change? So for all my educators friends here today, please think that you have to, your students, your graduates have to have a foundation skills. And what we call foundation skills today's in this world, today's market, that is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So this is the actually foundation skills. These foundation skills, when your students must have to have foundation skills, then you students must have to have a learning to learn skills. Nowadays, in 21st century, we call it is transferable skills. So when your students have foundation skills, in addition with learning to learn skills, then if you have students have a specific technical skills, what is actually technical skills? For example, for accountant. So accountancy is his technical skills. But for accountancy, he must have to have learning to learn skills and foundation skills. So if we can ensure these three skills at a time of your students, then your students will got the job, future job. And your student will be competitive. Your student will make sure his existence in the upcoming industry. So this is actually the, I think, a very fundamental thing we need to understand. Now, we need to know the what actually framework for learning to learn skills, because of your students, your graduates must have to have a pursuing the lifelong learning. So what skills you need to equip himself, build himself to cope up the future learning. So for my belief, the framework should start from the digital literacy first. So nowadays, without digital literacy, it's not be possible to learn skills. Then your students have to have a creativity and critical thinking skills. So otherwise, he will not be able to cope up the next thing. And last, the communication skills, because of nowadays communication is very much fundamental things. Without communication, without communicating things, the learning, we cannot cope up with the new learning. And then adaptability. So change is happening. So our students' mindset is required to adapt the new sense, to adapt the sense in technology, sense the market. So otherwise, we will not cope up. Your students will not cope up in the future. Learning mindset is must here needed. Learning mindset. Then awareness, because of if you will not aware what is happening. For example, ChatGPT is there, many tools is there. So if your students is not aware, he will might be obsolete in the upcoming days. And finally, the collaboration and engagement. Collaboration, without collaboration, like SRM Institute is now organizing the faculty development program. I think the Bangladeshi or others, many countries, faculties, practitioners are joining here and got the learning. So these types of collaboration is required. And curious mindset, mind it. If your students has not the curious mindset, he will be not be able to learning new things. So this actually the very fundamental and very much fundamental issues for the framework for learning to learn skills. If you got the point, I can go with the how actually we can empower our students as a lifelong learner. So if you have any questions, you may ask in chat, or I can go the next discussion area. Okay. So if you have no questions, then I can go with the next discussion area. So fostering the positive learning environment is important. Otherwise, if we cannot ensure a positive learning environment in my institute, in my arena, it will be difficult. So how actually we can ensure the positive learning environment? We have to discuss the significance here I discussed today, or significance for the creating a positive and inclusive or lifelong learning environment. Then if you can convince your student that you will get return, then we have to explore the strategy for educators to cultivate the conducive atmosphere for lifelong learning. How we can go, how we can do it? First up, we have to building a positive relationship with the students. Positive relations means about the changing, about the new situation, about the upcoming technologies. Then we have to promoting a growth mindset and love to learning. This is very important. Nowadays, if you students have not the growth mindset, it will be difficult to equip himself for the next generations. So that is why growth mindset is important here, and encouraging open communication and collaboration. When your students have the open communication, open collaboration, then your students got the big learning environment for equipping himself. So this is actually thing. Now, empowering students as a lifelong learner again emphasizes the needs of development students self-directed learning skills. So what are skills is needed for self-direction learning? You have to have communicate with the students and try to convince them. Present effectiveness methods for encouraging students in the learning process. You have to providing opportunities for the students, choice and voice. So what choice he has and what voice he has, you have to provide the opportunity. Implementing the project-based learning and collaborative activities. Project-based learning is very experiential learning nowadays. So we have to pursue with the learning process, the project-based learning. So when the students go with the project, then he may need to learn new things. So this is actually a cycle for pursuing your students as a lifelong learner. And your students needs to nurturing a growth mindset, what I already mentioned, and fostering love to learning. It is important. So this is actually mechanism we can use in our institutions for empowering students as a lifelong learning. So now I would like to share a self-transform framework because of we want to transform our students in a new versions. How actually my students can ensure himself as a transform new versions, transform to new versions for working with industry. Okay, so it is actually again through first of all, your students have to have a pursuing the lifelong learning things, and then he need to cope up with the new technology, cope up with the new sense through the lifelong learning. So when he cope up with the new sense, with this, your students, any persons may have ensured his lives and works quality development. Believe me, life and works development is very much crucial. When my work quality is increasing, then it will ensure my life's quality development. When I ensure my quality development, it is actually my destination place. My transformed version. So we need to stay with the continuous development, because once we develop, it will be absolutely useless for the upcoming tomorrow. So that is why we need to stay continuous development. So it's actually if your students or any persons wants to transform himself, he may access the cycle. Actually, he may pursue this cycle. What I present here today. So now my next discussion area is for today is understanding enhance 7 layers of learning sources. Learning source, people think that learning sources is actually from university, schools, college, books. It is actually not the full learning sources. These 7 layers of learning sources actually are invented through a survey work from it is totally conducted by myself as a research. Then I got there is 7 layers may be useful for learning sources. First of all, for the reason I would like to say the number two learning sources is family. We all believe that we learn from many things from family. The very most fundamental things we learn from family. So it is also in institutions. We can learn from the family. Then you can say the number 3. I will brief you the number 1 later. So number 3 is institutions. Schools, university, whatever the organizations we have, it can be the learning sources. And now number 1, why I can say later, because of we may have the books, publications, even kitab. There is many kitabs we have for religious kitab, maybe you get a social media, whatever we have, it can be a learning sources. So I have already presented here 3 learning sources. The number 4th learning sources here today is the life experience. We all believe that we learn from our experience. So where from we got experience? From society, from country, from universe, from my work stations, we got the experience, and it is also my learning sources. The fifth number is sources. I believe you all will support me that from the nature and environment we learn. So 100 years ago, the peoples learns from the nature and environment. Okay, now also it is valid that we can learn from nature and environment. And number 6, we may have the mentors and may have the guru. In 100 years, 200 years ago, people's where there is just minimum numbers of institutions, there is minimum numbers of books, publications. So where they learn from? They learn from mentors. They learn from their guru types people. So this is actually valid for learning. You may learn from your mentors. And can you imagine what will be the 7 learning sources, 7 numbers of learning sources? Can anyone actually reply me today? Anyone? Yeah, in chat box. Are you hearing me, please? Anyone?
Self-learning.
Yeah, self-learning. Yeah, self-learning. Yeah, good thing. Yeah, isolations. Yeah. So, yeah. So thank you for your response. So now, the 7 learning sources I found from my survey work is actually from the rehabilitation institution or prison or punishment. People say I learned from my punishment, because learning is must. If you want to exist in this world, believe me, learning is must. If you are not learning, then you have to have a face difficulties, and you have to have a face few punishment, because otherwise you will not be, it will not be able to exist in this world. So this is actually sectors. You may add many things in this sector. So in any kinds of prisons, you said the slogan, this institution is completely for enlightening people. So people cannot learn, then he go with the very wrong things. Then he facing very many punishments. So actually punishments also a learning sources, I believe. So these actually the 7 learning sources, and we need to understand our students and teachers and educators that please go with your life with the learning sources, and with the many learning sources. It can be institutions, it can be informal, it can be formal, it could be from the your mentor, it could be from the nature. So we need to pursue our students. Please go with the all learning sources together, not from the institutions only, not from the internet only, not from the books only, not from the social media only. So this actually I would like to present here 7 learning sources. My next last but not the least item for today's presentations is actually the 7. I developed a model, 7S model to develop learning plan. That is actually very much crucial for actually developing a learning plan for our students. That is why I have developed a model, and this is the actually I would like to say 7S model. That means 7S is there. So first of all, your students must have to have a self-assessment first, because of Socrates said, know thyself. So once you know your competency, know your interest, know your learning style, then you can actually make the plan. So what actually your students learn, he must have to identify first, because of learning pace, learning style may be different for the man-to-man. For my case, I learned from the classroom very good. I learned from the books very good. But I learned very good thing from the videos clip. So this is my learning pace. So I think any students can say that he can learn from the books learning, and even he can use he may be learned from the other styles by other styles. So self-assessment is important first. Then we have to have shape your learning habits. if I cannot make a habit as a learning, I will not be able to learn new things. So I have to have a shape myself learning habits. I have to build a learning habit and make it in a shape for learning habit. Otherwise, I will not go with big visions. So second thing is shape your learning habits. Then once you assess yourself and you have already shaped yourself as a habitual learning, then you need to set your goals, make a plan and commitment. So what actually I want to see myself after 5 years. I want, for example, a teachers, the instructors, the lecturers, he wants to make himself as a manager or institution sense, the head of the after 10 years. So what actually literacy or skill set is required for that position. So he need to know first. Then once he complete his the requirements for his desired position after 10 years, then he can make a plan for learning. So because learning is open in the world nowadays, so set goals is very important. Make plan is very important. So then, you can say, once you set your goal, then stay connected. Stay connected, the get involvement and set resources. Think world is learning center. So when you set your goal, then what you need to do? You need to learn. So how you can learn? You need to learn. You need to stay connected, get involved in the learning. Learning is actually ongoing process. So you need to stay connected and check the resources and think world is learning center. Then once you learn new things, then you need to share. How can I share? We may implement our learning in my workplace. You may share your learning with other people. So that will actually ensure that you ensuring that your learning will be sustainable. So for sustainable reason, you need to share your learning with your peers or with your work technologies or work environment. Then actually, if you want to share the new things, then another things is important, that learn, and reflect. So we need to learn at the same time with something we need to relearn because of new things is coming. And we have to reflect ourselves in our work, in our life. So learning, if your learning is not reflected in your work, so it is actually not learning. So that is very important. Then analyze, once you apply your learning, then you have to analyze the impact. Because of, if you cannot make sure the impact, why you work for? We work for ensure the create impact. So you need to analyze the impact and be charged and make synergy. Once we impact again, we need to answer ourselves and make synergy for new things. Then how we can actually learn our new things? So it actually is a curious mind, stay passionate. If you not passionate, motivated to achieve new success, then it will be actually challenge. And actually people learn when people stay with challenge. So this is very much important that if your students or your teachers actually can understand that how actually I can go with learning sources, with the new learning, with the new, and how actually if I would like to cultivate myself, then it is actually important for following the 7S. So this 7S is for pursuing your lifelong learning, and lifelong learning as an ongoing process, not a static event, please. So please understand that it is not static, it is ongoing. So ongoing process, that means, yeah. So now this is, for example, online learning sources that I know you all know. For the online learning sources, there is many learning platform and I already share with you the 7 learning sources. this was my presentations about the cultivate lifelong learning, and my last message and request: never stop learning and be impactful. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I can try to answer those questions. And thank you all of you for your patience for my presentation, hearing my presentations and listening for my presentations. So I think I took 30 minutes, what I desired prepare for today's. Any questions?
Participants, you
Yeah.
may unmute your mic and you can ask the question to sir.
I have a question. First of all, thank you so much for this amazing presentation. I really loved it. You mentioned that punishment can be a form of education, form of learning. Can you give me an example, maybe from your own experience, where this has worked?
So actually, I want to say punishment can be a source for those people cannot learn in using the other 6 sources. Once he face the punishment, then try to convince himself, you face the punishment, so you need to learn and go with the others learning sources. So it is not actually sources, but it is actually the event that you can learn, you can convince people for the lifelong learning, continuous learning. Okay.
Sir, can I have a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now if punishment is also source, then motivation is also another source, not the other way. Motivation and punishment. Then you can say that motivation is also another way of, learning.
I think from the punishment, it is very easy to motivate people. Once a punishment once a person, for example, or students after completed graduation, he actually did not get the job. Then you can say that yes, it is your time that you cannot use your full time in your last 4 years degree. So this is your now you need to understand you have to invest your time for the very much active real learning, then you can use for your life. So I think it can be a motivating things for the students, also people.
Yes, sir, my point is this, when we say punishment, even through punishment, they can learn because it motivates. Sometimes without punishment, by motivating them, we can, they can be a lifelong learner. So my point is, punishment, not only punishment, when motivation is also a, Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I am also motivation also the part. So actually that was survey. My question was that how you learn from. Then one person said, I learned from my punishment. So that is why I put there as a source. It's not it. This is actually my survey questions, survey report and survey outcome. Okay. Any questions, any remarks? Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And welcome all of you. Yeah. I think, yeah, excellent. Thank you. If any.
Sir, this is a different question. I mean, not related to the presentation, but I saw that you have completed your master trainer certification from ILO, which is very commendable. I also am a trainer by profession, and I'm interested to do this particular certification. So, sir, could you guide how this can be done?
Oh, very nice questions. Very good things. That basically I am the ILO Global Certified Master Trainer on SIYB. That means start and improve your business. So that is a module of ILO, and it takes 8 years to being a certified master trainer. It is actually practically, and in last May, I received my license from the ILO headquarters, Geneva, as a certified master trainer, and I prepare I work for the train to trainers and preparing trainers for the entrepreneurship development actually. And it is easily in many countries, on 100+ countries are it is useful SIB. I think you can talk to the local office of ILO, that means countries office, and all countries office have a desk that is called SIB desk, and SIB they may have the SIB program and you can enroll easily. Alternatively, you can get enrollment for the TOT program that is actually offering by the ITC ILO, and even it is now happening in online. So you can enrollment yourself in online TOT for the SIB training, then you will be a certified trainer. Then after trainer, you need to have a performance, that means TOE, training for entrepreneurs. Then you will have to have a receive the TOMT certificate. Then you have to have prepare for the trainers. Few people, there is a cycle, so you need to follow the cycle, then you will got the certified master trainer. It is very useful, and more than 100+ country is using SIB program of ILO. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, another Mr. Ashokan sir is working with also CPSC, that is accrediting body for APAC. You know, me myself and Ashokan sir also APAC accreditor. So we work with Ashokan sir is last few years in the APAC umbrella worldwide. So I think APAC also can be discussed here, how APAC actually work for Tibet, ensuring quality Tibet. Yeah. Thank you for giving me the opportunity here. Any questions from any participants today? Sir, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Nowadays this lifelong learning is one of the important key factor, including the World Economic Forum or UNESCO, and even Indian government. We are emphasizing on this lifelong learning. You are given a very good insight about lifelong learning, the importance, and starting from the basic definition, we make it very clear about what is the importance of what is lifelong learning and what is the importance, why everybody want to go for this lifelong learning. Thank you very much for your wonderful session, sir. The participant, any questions?
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Okay, ma'am. If no questions, ma'am, we can wind up, madam.
Somebody is asking question.
Please.
Sir, I have a question.
Louder, ma'am.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, now you are audible, madam.
Yes. Sir, when you are talking about the framework for learning, the very first link is the digital literacy. So as a country like India with a very large population, and we don't have the facility of having all these smartphones in nook and corners. So how far it is possible for us to bring in this digital literacy for the next generation? As a teacher,
So
can I have a role in this?
actually, digital literacy is very common things nowadays for any types of students. So I would like to request you or recommend that whatever discipline your students is studying in an institute, it may be accounting, it may be any subject. So he must have to have a access to digital device. I think we have to prepare our courses with the basic literacy, digital skill literacy courses. Okay. For example, fundamental computer things, fundamental digital skills. It must have to have a must-on course, must have to have in all curriculum, on all actually the degree or discipline. So I think in Bangladesh, what we do, every students class 9, he have a course name is ICT skills. Okay, it's common. So without ICT skill, passing the ICT school, no students can go promoted for the class 10. So how actually Bangladesh happening here? So I think all the world and even in India, you can design your curriculum with these types of things, that ICT skills, digital literacy skills, or computer skills in even class level 8. So class 8 is, I think, perfect time for including a course like ICT skills or computer skills, and with the infrastructure of digital lab, for example, in computer lab, or for example, with the digital lab in India. I think a few days ago, I came from India in Maharashtra. There is an institute. It is called CETTM, Center for Excellence Telecom Technology and Management. So where I see there is a lab for digital device, not computer, like how actually Android work, how actually iOS platform work. This is the common courses for all types of students, all types of graduates. So I think this way you may pursue with the digital literacy and ensure the digital literacy in the upcoming for the next generation's students, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If there is no further question, we will wind up the session. So I would like to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to both the esteemed speaker and wonderful audience. Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge, insight, and expertise with us. In your talk, you have given the 7 aspects for life cultivating lifelong learning, how we can make our student lifelong learners, which is very useful. Your engaging delivery, thought-provoking idea, and passion for your subject. It was wonderful, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Inamul. Thank you very much. Thank you. So
Dear-
participant can give this feedback form. The link is given in the chat box. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.